you gotta work. I have learned from scientists rats resemblance to human being genetically, biologically, and the behavioral characteristic. Some smart rat, some tricky rat. Take a look and you will see rats dressing up with jacket and tie. And be careful with what you do. Plenty rats in this country looking at you. I see a big rat in the treasury. It has some big rat eating up with money. I said a big rat. If you see the nest, mama, it has some big rats in the NIS. When you go to collect your salary, I tell you rat, they share already. When granny go to collect ship it and see.
And a good night to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. It is time for Talking Points. My name is Sheldon Scott here with you up until the 10 o'clock hour. We do apologize for the late start tonight. But don't worry, we'll make it up to you. Yeah, we're dedicating this one to the staff down there at the Ministry of Youth, eh?
Wicked rats, Lord, they have no mercy. If them decide to invade us, we have no plan, no strategy.
And folks, we do have a guest that will be on with us tonight. From roughly about, let's say we'll bring the guest on at 8:15. We're not waiting until 8:30 to bring on guests and all kind of thing. Yes, we'll be joined tonight by Mr. Gregory Bowen. We have several things when I speak with Mr. Gregory Bowen is a lot of information, lot of valuable information. So he will be coming on with us on air in the next few minutes, 8:15, huh?
We have some big rats eating up with money. I said a big rats. If you see the nest, mama, it has some big rats in the NIS. When you go to collect your salary.
Saying a special good night to each and every one of you listening via the various mediums. Those of you listening via YouTube, Facebook, we're already kind of late tonight. I can't go down the list tonight. And remember, folks, you have to actually message me. Some folks calling, and you see what will happen sometimes. I'm making the notes, and so message me in relation to the t-shirts, and so send a message to me, because when you call, I might take a note like I did last night. I took a note of several people, left it in the studio when I went. So make sure that you message on the 440-7377. Those of you that have my correct number, my normal number, you could contact me there as well.
I see a big rat in the treasury. We have some big rats eating up with money.
And once again, we do apologize for the late start.
If you see the nest, mama, it has some big rats in the NIS. When you go to collect your salary, I tell you that they share already. When granny go to collect ship it and see.
So folks, yes, let them know. Mr. Gregory Bowen, he will be on with us shortly. All the little audio glitches and thing, we're gonna try and sort all of that out by the end of the by Saturday. So we're trying to sort out all of that, so no more problem on Monday, huh?
To my country, Some bright, bright rats. Some intelligent rats. They boasting.
I know I can't go through the whole list, but special good night to you, Dixie Ann. Yeah.
What cannot treat the pensioners right? And we walking day and night. For to get we rights, we all have to fight.
And you know, if I don't tell those children good night, they want to go and sleep. Good night to you, Zayla, bedtime. Good night to you, Zoe, bedtime too. And good night to you, Exalia. If I don't say good night to those children, you know it's problems.
If you see the nest, mama, it has some big rock in the NIS. When we go to collect our salary, the pensioner, I tell you that they share already. When granny go to collect she beat and see, but money they share already. Big rock in marketing board, big rock in the teachers union, big rock. If you see the next mama, big rock in the NIS. When you go to collect your salary, I tell you that they share already. When granny go to collect she beat and see, but don't need they share already. Big rock in public works union, big rock sitting down on the boat, big rock. If you see the nest, mama, big rock in the NIS. When you go to collect the salary, I tell you that.
So yes, indeed, as I said, we're going to be bringing on the Honorable, I still say the Honorable Gregory Boyne with us in the next few minutes. And you know, I don't want to go into any of the other issues tonight. I don't want to go into that yet, because believe me, I have a lot I could say about certain things that I saw today, certain things I've heard today. Yeah, certain things I remember. And when you contrast it to what you're seeing out there right now, yeah, but I don't want to go into them thing and them, because we have some deep discussions to go in the next few minutes. Some deep discussions to go into in the next few minutes. Nice. Let me just get Mr. Gregory Boyne on. So I think I have, let me just make sure, Mr. Gregory Boyne, are you there? Hello? Yeah, no, we have him there, you know, just trying to make sure, Mr. Gregory Boyne. Yes, folks. So I do have him on with me. I hope you're hearing me clearly, Mr. Gregory Bowen.
Yes, I'm just trying to. I'm hearing you. I just want to know if you're hearing me loud and clear.
Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear, and I'm not even having the issue that we were having earlier. I'm hearing you clearly.
Oh, that's good. I was a bit concerned.
Yes, so you're hearing me. You're hearing me okay on your end.
Yes, I'm hearing quite okay on my end.
All right, good. So, folks, we have on with us, as I stated before, Mr. Gregory Bowen, and let me just make sure I could bring him up there over on the yes. Nice. We're speaking with the brother Gregory Bowen. How are you doing, sir?
Well, I'm pretty good for the time being. As you know, I'm not in Grenada. I'm in New York. And
wait,
I want to take.
You catch me there, no? I didn't even realize. All right.
I want to take this opportunity to say a very pleasant evening to you and all the Talking Points family, and all those around the world, all those at home in the Caribbean, throughout the diaspora, who are listening to this very informative program. And you have been complimented time and time again, and I love your response. It is not I, Sheldon Scott, but it is the entire family. And I want to add to it, all those who listen, we have our part to play. You look at where we are today. You look at our history way back, what happened in 2008 to 2013. And as the old people say, that we broke stick in our ears again, and we're back there. And as we look forward to the difficult task ahead of us, I just wanted to advise and to all of us that we take your trust, your trend, and let us do exactly what we need to do for our country. So once again, good night to you and the listening public.
Yes, sir. And it's always good to see you, a gentleman who always has a wealth of knowledge in relation to various areas. And we're gonna go with it one time. We're gonna start off the bat because I started late tonight and I'm getting it left, right, and center. Because the listeners know 8 o'clock is 8 o'clock, and I could hear my friend in New York, Wade. I could hear him right now already saying, Sheldon, 8 o'clock is 8 o'clock. Himself and Andrew Donald would be telling me that. Now, Brother Gregory Bowen, we've heard quite a few statements in relation to oil and gas over the past few days. During the throne speech, it was reported that the government is claiming that they're not finding any of the documentation. They can't find any documentation in relation to oil and gas. One of the local news companies have erroneously reported that what was said was that we have no oil and gas. The Prime Minister is saying, which is not what he said, but that's what is being reported. And we heard the Prime Minister himself claiming that he met no brief and there's no information and they can't get any information on that. What say you on this matter?
Well, this is exceedingly strange, very surprising. And I have asked myself, have they checked on the public servants who handle these communications? You have the Department of Energy. You have John Ogis now retired. Yes, you have the permanent secretaries who have changed. Many of them have changed. One responsible for energy for a period of 2 years, the other for next period as we shifted permanent secretaries around. We have all of these persons there. And most importantly, you have the ministers' secretaries. They do all the filing. They do all the response. They type everything up. So it is exceedingly strange to say that you can't find anything. I basically believe that is a ruse. And you mentioned earlier the fact that, since 2014-15, you recall that suite of electronic legislation.
Yes.
We do have all ministers, all permanent secretaries. We have our space on the platform, and the gov.gd platform. So you would have see me there as Gregory Bowen at ministers.gov.gd.
Mm-hmm.
People will write to me through that platform. And I would copy the PS if she has to do something, he or she has to do something with it. Sometimes they write directly to them. Sometimes they don't write to them. They write to me. And I will copy all the communication to the secretary, ask her to respond, ask her to find this, or even ask her to copy somebody else in the government, in a different ministry, in the same ministry, a different department, who could add substance to our response, or who could diagnose whatever request was made. In that context, therefore, and you mentioned it, on the 24th of June, 2022, access to all ministers were removed. No problem with that. What should happen is that the new minister should continue. And whether or not you want to make a break in the path, and we know we don't want to live in any place that Dr. Keith Mitchell was living. We don't want to touch anything that this one was touching and so forth. So even electronically, even in space, yes, even in the cloud, if you don't want it, this system there, and you can continue and you can go back and look at what is there. I don't know, this uncanny feeling is coming towards me. Did they clear the entire system? Did they just dump everything that was there and say, no, I want to start afresh? I don't think so. So if you simply go back and you search for anything, and those technical persons could know it, you could say the oil and gas, you could say this and that, the Global Petroleum Group, and everything will come back to you. And when an attachment comes with an email, you download that attachment. You go into downloads, and everything is there. So I'm wondering, how come you cannot find anything in electronic era? Again, are we talking about the period to 1970 to 2014? So what has been done with that? You were there in 2008 to 2013, and you saw that all the files. Are these missing too? Because one caller spoke about during the revolution that the Russians did some studies on it. But even before that, in the Gary era, you had some seismic studies done by the British Development Division, and the electronic data, the electromagnetic tapes are stored off island, not even in Grenada. However, we had access, and people will write us for permission to go to use it, and we say, sure, to do desktop studies and so on. So all of these bits of information are there within the ministry. You may not, they're not important now, because you might say we advanced significantly past that. But mention is this to show you that the information is there. And then you have not a rule, but a practice after X number of years that you could go to the registry and they'll take off from the active file and put into inactive file and so forth and so on. But I verily believe that they're simply talking, the way they're talking, it's to do with the Global Petroleum Group and the latest department and the latest developments that are going on. So they were there 2013, so let's put that behind us. We assume that they have that. In 2000 and going forward, we have the Petroleum and Natural Gas Deposit Act, which tells you how you carry out exploration in the country, what you must do. You must have whether or not you negotiate. You could always go out, for example, and put something in the paper and invite people to come. We have done that a lot of times. But remember, at the same time we were trying to develop our exploration, Guyana on the other side with huge and vast potential. That's where the big names, were showing interest. And we had the problem of Mr. Grindberg, who said nobody should come into his waters until your humble servant stood up and removed that impediment. That is when we started the real exploration and production of oil and gas. Why would I want to hide anything that will contain this saga? Because I want them to be reminded continuously. of the sacrifices and the work of Boeing in ensuring that they could now talk about oil and gas. Yes? Why should I hide that? I want that to be there in the race. Now, the sums of money I invested in protecting Grenada would be in those files. Why would I hide those files when I want it to be forever in their faces that this humble servant spent monies and has been promised repayment? Legal documents saying that in 2013, 2014, the situation was so grave that we cannot pay you back your money. We'll pay you a little bit, and here we have this amount for you. So I really want them, Sheldon, to find the files, because they have a significant sum of money that was analyzed and I was written to, and those letters are in the files. So please find the files. And if you want me to come to help you to find the files, I definitely will. Listen, we may be talking about the Warren Group and the True Blue Development Corporation. Do you know? Few people know. Even people in the NNP do not know, because this is not something I would broadcast to cast aspersion on them. But the government has asked me to come in and give them what I know about this. Those were the days just after the elections when they were preparing to defend the case. So you could find me then. You could ask me for information then. I didn't expose you to anybody's system then. Now, if you want information to continue the oil and gas, please do it the same way. I remember the public servant who called me. I said to her, "You're calling me over an issue? Does your boss know?" "Oh, yes. I know very well." And I see in the when she communicates to me, she copies the communication to the boss saying that, "Oh, we want you to meet with this and we want you to meet with the lawyers," and so on and so on and so on. So I say, "Good, you're okay. I am okay. I will give my help." Sheldon, have you heard me come out and tell Grenada that NDC is calling on me to help or to give certain advice or something? They were not asking for documents then. They were asking for my input, and knowledge. And the lawyers who were represented here were the main part of this. So you can find me then. You don't even have to call me as a permanent secretary to say, "Well, could you come in?" And I'll ask him the same question. Your bosses know. Once your bosses know, I will come in and I have the, the cooperation with you that I could call certain persons who I know that I have discussed this document with. That in itself should show the Grenadian people exactly what is happening. If you wanted the information, if you did not want to take this political route of saying that things are missing, then you would do that. You have the company again, they've called them down. And I believe the company that have been writing to them, maybe since in 2022, after the elections, to continue with the development, of the program. So to say that you cannot find anything, and I have listened again and again, and you will help me. Did they say that there is no documentation or no information, or did they say they cannot find it?
That's the thing. They're claiming that they can't find the documentation in relation to it, and oil and gas is, quote unquote, a mystery. Since saying that, numerous people, I saw it on Jenny Simon's program just this evening. Simon says Prince has played it on his program. Even Mosquito Man has been able to pull one or two of them. Many people have sent it to me. Signing in Trinidad with Mr. Nazim Burke, different things. Or the amount of documents that people have sent to me and information people have sent to me that is readily available online with a simple search in relation to this issue.
Yes.
Yet still they're saying they can't find anything.
No, that I think that they've carefully chosen the word to send out innuendos. And as indicated, you want help in not finding, but putting it in front of you, then just so you know to find me with Warren Newfield's case with the True Blue development, you could have found me, and you do not need me. You have John Ogis. He has retired now. He was a chief energy officer. And I know that he is intimately involved in many, in fact, in all of the processes that would go into, let us take from 2014, because we've asked the question, but they can't say they don't have these files. So I think they want to insinuate from a later period. So the Petroleum and Natural Gas Deposit Act determines, as I say, how you go about. If you then negotiate, or you go out into an open situation to ask people to come. But as I have indicated, Ghana was rolling. They started before us. They were rolling in significant oil. I remember, I'm not even saying and gas, that their principal thing was oil, and oil is the great demand. So we had to speak to many people to come to ask them to invest in Grenada. And many of them told us, well, what is happening around the world is that if you want us to invest, you must put a significant sum of the monies in. Obviously, we couldn't do that. So we spoke, and we entered into negotiations with many people. With Grindberg off the scene, St. Lucia called, asked me to help them in one way. And when we had companies like Multi-Client MCG, right from Norway, they will do speculative seismic studies in the sense that you don't pay them, they come through your waters, they gather the data, and they have your permission to sell the data to interested companies, exploring companies. And that is good because they won't come to us, but if MCG did the survey and that will interest them and they will buy from MCG, MCG will give us obviously a small 10-15% of whatever they made. We say, okay, good. That is good enough for us. So they came through. That was then, I was reminded. I said, well, if you're coming through Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and St. Lucia, and they say, no, we could talk to the governments of Trinidad and Tobago and Grenada, but we have to talk to a Mr. Grindberg for St. Vincent and for St. Lucia. So I said it would be very easy just to run this quickly. So I think they ran Trinidad and ours, and they've sold some of the information to interested parties. I know that Shell came in and said they were interested, in certain areas, and I say, please make your application and go on. But these big companies are obviously interested in Ghana. And why should Ghana propel itself way ahead of us? Yes, they have vast resources compared to us. But from 2008 to 2013, when the NDC got in office, and when we were pushing, they did nothing to push for the oil and gas exploration. As a matter of fact, I remember one member of the government saying, just let time pass, do nothing, don't respond to the people, just do nothing, and then the contract will go because the contract gave them a certain time to perform. Not knowing if you frustrate the people for 4 years, then you'll have to give them back the 4 years. So when the NNP got back into office, we speedily moved. And that is when we made the greatest stride. A development license must be issued under the Act. Okay? A production sharing agreement must be, there was one in place, but you must update it, etc. Particularly if you, the government, is being pushed to put in some resources into the production process. So all of that was discussed. And who would be an integral part of this? It must be legal affairs. We had to go to Parliament to give concessions for the production wells. For example, you cannot just bring in stuff, massive, huge books, pipes, worth millions of dollars, machines worth $1 million. You can't bring it into the country without paying duties on it. So we went and updated the law. And just before that, We had removed the discretion from the minister to grant concessions on anything. They were tabulated. And so we had to increase that list so that the guys can bring in their ships into Grenada. When the ships came into Grenada, the press told, and I could remember many press personnel. We went onto the ship. We went over there. They went down to the bottom, see exactly what the ship will be doing. That is 2017, 18 there. And we knew that the ship came here. So I agree with you, Sheldon. No one is saying that, not even the government, present government could say no, that there's no evidence of oil and gas. They continue to harp on, we cannot find. So I'm saying again, if you want help, get help. If you don't understand the system, ask the technocrats. Yeah, and ask the permanent secretaries, the minister secretaries, the other public servants, who can help you. And I believe the files, legal affairs played a major role in drafting the production. For the first time, we'll be given a production license, so they had to play a major role. Look there as well. They'll be able to tell you a lot. And files could change place between ministries. You have a note from one PS to the next, and the file will go one place to work on it, and it will be returned, etc. Besides what is in the registry, you do have these other files showing, and you do have the electronic places to find those files. So we have done this, and we got the very best to do for us. I'll give you the names of the people. You remember Transocean is a big name in oil exploration. Those people who did the planning and those who did the interpretation. And this is important. When they did the seismic and when they did the drilling, data will come back, but it will be in electromagnetic form. It's like an X-ray. We give you, Sheldon, the X-ray, and you go and you look at it left, you turn it upside down, or what is in that. You must get the expert to read and to tell you what is there and what this means. And so the best was gotten to read the data from the exploration and from the production process that went on. And what we found out, that there was significant gas. I keep hearing the word oil and gas. Yes, there may be oil. We're not saying no. There will be oil whenever you have gas. Gas, you have some oil. But the abundance of what is found there was gas. That is why Trinidad and Tobago urgently came in on the scene next door neighbor and indicated that they will build a pipeline from our site for gas into their Chacona and Ibis plants in the sea some mile away. And from then on, they will pipe this into the trains in Trinidad and Tobago. And the minister from Trinidad and Tobago made this announcement very clearly. And people were saying, well, why didn't you tell us before Trinidad told us? Trinidad is its own sovereign right. We cannot come up and say, well, Trinidad will do this. Let them say it for themselves, as I indicated with the persons. Yes, you can make such an announcement that you will do that. And they certainly did. So we do have this is, where we are. And they have not responded to the guys. Well, luckily they have a meeting, but they had one yesterday. That is good. And what we hope is that they would not do the same thing as they did in 2008 to 2013 and let a long time drag so that the guys cannot continue with the production of, we know that COVID hampered the period after 1819, but now we're in a state where they must get the investment and they must move forward. So not that they cannot find, I think we must move past the stage that I cannot find information too. I am moving speedily to give the persons the necessary authority to go forward. Because for the guys to get the investment, they must go to the financing bank and the areas to say, well, yes, the government of Grenada has it, even if you have a license in your hand, and move forward. And if we fail them, I am not saying that the group GPG will do that. But if you fail to them, we could be liable for damages in all the delay costs. And in the oil and gas industry, delay costs are significant. So it's not a matter of pushing back this and not getting this done. And in the end of the day, I have to do it. So by 2028, I may allow them to go forward. That could be dangerous in the sense that 4 years delay costs in the oil and gas industry when the guys have the license and everything in their hands, when they're showing they're making a move. And I'm sure, Sheldon, they would ask them to give them all the information too. Well, you could have done that, 6 months ago?
But
you could have done that with us and with them.
Let me ask a question here, because in the Prime Minister's statement, he did say that the meeting that was supposed to take place yesterday would be the initial meeting. In other words, there were no meetings before that. But yet still you're making announcements that you have no documents. You didn't speak to GPG, the main people to speak to in relation to this. He said the initial meeting, so the first meeting they're having with these people, yet still, in the throne speech, and in my view, disrespecting our Governor General, and then afterwards in a press conference making the statement that you can't find the documents. Yet the people that were known to be directly involved and would have some of what you're looking for, you're having the initial meeting for them on the day after you're saying that you can't find anything. It's a mystery.
A total mystery. You can see there's a political mischief. For example, you said you wanted a brief. What was the problem in getting your permanent? You don't have to talk to me, right? I'm hoist. Get your permanent secretary or get the minister's secretary to say that, can you help us prepare a brief? And you get 2 or 3 persons from Energy, and they would work with me, and we will sit and I will put and say, yes, this is true. That's where we are. That's the intention. This is what you must look out for. And this brief will go on. How could you ask to prepare a brief from 2000? You did not ask that before. One, you would not ask for a brief before because you don't know who's going there. You always ask for a brief 2, 3 weeks, a month after where you want to go forward. And you saw my response when you asked for assistance in those areas. Very quiet, discreetly, because it's Grenada we're working for, and not for NDC or NNP. So what harm in asking for the brief? And we got no brief. Look at this. I mean, that's a statement of lack of knowledge. You ask for a brief when you want a brief. You're there, you want a brief. You don't know if you'll be there, you would not ask for a brief. And so, Sheldon, I dismiss this issue of not finding the information. As a matter of fact, if you said I want to start now on oil and gas and I need a brief, say so. And everyone will come together and help you to find it. And I'm sure that you'll find it quite easily if you have not already found it. And I want to make it abundantly clear. We're going left with nothing, as I indicated why. I don't want to leave with anything. I want it to be forever in the face. Why would I leave with documents when you have monies for me? And you can't find that document? Please find the document. And you see how much money committed to, written by the permanent secretary, Ministry of Finance, indicating that we can't pay you now. Please bear with us. We will pay you not all the monies, because we don't even have it, but we pay you some of the monies that you have expended in defending Grenada, in ensuring now that Grenada could talk, and not Grindberg, could talk about its oil and gas revenues. And it's not only saving, bringing back the sector under the government, it's saving Grenada $500 million. That was the claim in ICSID, and that was the claim elsewhere. So I don't want anything to leave the ministry. I want everything to leave the ministry. And I want the people to see what the new National Party have done since the removal of Grindberg and the development we have made since the I would say, disturbing and woeful lapse from 2008 to 2013. We came back in 14, and by 18, we had development going. Why would I want to remove such documents? And you're going to get it now. You'll hear that I got it from GPG. But they say ask for a brief. I will help.
So
Yes, yes.
I'm glad you said that, because that might very well be the approach now, that some people went to the documents, but we get the copies from GPG and using that as
Yes.
the excuse right now to try and twist the issue. But again, for those that missed it, the government of Grenada still owes you. They still
Yes.
owe you. And the thing is, you are Minister of Finance. You could have paid yourself.
Yes.
You could have paid
Yes.
yourself, but instead of that, you made sure the LLE got an additional 150. You made sure
Exactly.
that housing was being done for the poor and vulnerable people in our country. You made sure that at
Exactly.
least our bills, because the OECS and the OECS PPS Pharmaceutical Fund, Grenada has the best record in relation to paying, well, at least had, up until what happened last year. But Grenada had the best record in relation to payment. So you made sure all of that was done, but you didn't pay Gregory Bowen.
No.
You didn't pay.
no.
Well, I can tell
I
you there's
remember
some
we
people
sp-
now
we
won't
spoke
operate
a
like
lot.
that.
This is a contractual payment. Yet, I didn't see it with, and I don't think when people say, well, you pay yourself when you could pay anybody else. And if you want to take a account here, while you meet certain bills here, so all of us go through the period together. Yes. And since 2014, coming up to right now, while we build resources for the country, I was not paid. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So, folks, we're speaking here with Mr. Gregory Bowen, a former Minister of Finance, who didn't pay himself, but made sure everybody else got paid, and paid on time. By the 27th of the month, Mr. Bowen, salaries were there. I don't know if people get their salaries. No, I assume people got their salaries, but I know by the 27th of the month, the government of Grenada was paying. People could put the pot on fire. They were being paid. You could have paid yourself, and we could have not bother with hiring some additional young people under the youth empowerment programs and so on. But you decided, no, deal with all of that. Gregory Bowen going to hold off on paying Gregory Bowen. He's not going to pay Gregory Bowen. When the time, some way down the road, probably, you'd sort of that. So why would you want to hide documents from the government that says the government owe you? And that's the
Exactly.
question. You've asked that question several times, and I'm
Yes.
just repeating it for those who may just be joining. Why would you want to hide something like that? Definitely.
Minister.
So, folks, we are speaking with Mr. Gregory Bowen here, former Minister of Energy, former Minister of Finance, was at a point in time Minister of Works, another point in time Minister of Agriculture, and so on. Brother Bowen, I want to raise another issue. Not that we're leaving the issue of the oil and gas totally, but I think that
Okay.
what you have said has encapsulated that issue so succinctly that those who did not know now know. Those who did not understand now understand. And that we hope to hear how the meeting with GPG, the initial meeting, the first meeting with GPG, we hope to hear how that has proceeded and how Grenada would be moving forward from on that particular issue. Now,
Just before you move, I think it behoves us to follow the result of that particular meeting in the context. Now the government is doing its work, hopefully to continue with the production, but in the context of information. Yes, we want to know. I found some from them. I got some here. I got some there. I listened to children programs as I have my agents continuously do, and I heard them mention about certain areas that is in the government purview, and we went there and we found what we wanted. Thanks. So proceed now.
all right, great. So I just wanted to ask, because another issue, and in my view, they've raised this oil and gas issue because it's fully intending to take us off of this one. The issue of the True Blue Development Group Limited and the arbitration that was brought against Grenada. First of all, before we get into that aspect of it, could you give us a brief understanding of how the Citizenship by Investment program operates from the developers' end, from the investors' end? Because many people have been hearing about CBI. But first of all, a brief look at how CBI actually operates.
Yes, thanks for that question again. The CBI program operated under the Citizen by Investment Act. And we have, under that act, you have a committee, Citizenship by Investment Committee, appointed by Cabinet. And these persons are there to accept project proposals from developers. So a developer will look at our act. If you look at St. Vincent, sorry, not St. Vincent, but St. Kitts, St. Lucia, etc. I think I have to look at there and say, well, let me see the benefits that I'm getting. And so I will apply, let's take Grenada's case. I will apply to develop a project in Grenada. In the application, I will tell them what I want to develop. Is it farming? Is it a hotel? Is it a plant, a manufacturing plant? And then I will say the cost of it. And I will say where it is to be located and submit this to the Citizenship by Investment Committee. The committee will analyze and watch and see, well, yes, this cost is reasonable. They will look at the project and say it will help Grenada develop. So we hear a lot about hotels, but there will be other projects. And then they will pass it on with a recommendation to the cabinet for approval or for rejection. Mind you, they will engage the developer and say, no, if you change this here and do this better, you have a better chance it will help both you and the country. And after that stage, it comes to cabinet. Cabinet approves the project. Thereafter, you'll see it on the government website. You'll see it in the Gazette. And now the developer, who is normally a company, but that developer could be a person. If you want to do a CBI project for 6 million, 7 million, or small, something like that, you might keep it under your name. Most people don't, and they advise you not to do that. So it's normally a corporate person who is the developer. When government approves, the cabinet approves the project, the developer is advised. The developer now has the permission to go out there and seek applicants for citizenship. And that works. The person knows, that applicant knows I have to put $350,000 into the project at the point in time if I get cleared. And as they apply, this CBI committee, again, working with due diligence agents, external agents throughout the world, they will look at the person, look at the character, etc., what they have been doing. They're not terrorists, they're here, they're there. They have not been into crime, etc. And they will see the due diligence has been performed, and this person is worthy of holding a passport. And this happens in St. Kitts and all the rest as well. We may use different due diligence companies in the bigger world, but eventually it comes to the internal agency. You have them, the Caribbean Forces. Yes, they do the final check. And we are part of this. And then the person is approved. That person now puts the money into the fund of the developer. Thereafter, it is built up, the work starts, the CBI committee monitors, and we go forward from there. The project is on stream. During the processes in Grenada, we have gone through certain stages. Like it started at $350,000, and then we moved into the fact that the developer must take a stake in this because monies are coming from outside, from investors, and they had no stake. And so we say you must invest 20% of the construction cost into the project. You have an impetus now to move forward. And at the same time, if you do that, then with the other countries selling at much lower price for investment into hotels, into real estate, it came down to $220,000 from $350. Or you could sell at $400, $500 if you wish. But for you to be competitive, most people want to sell at the low on $220. So you have your 20% stake, and you can now sell at $220,000 US. In the case of this particular case, the True Blue Development Limited, they worked with a project that they refer to as Kipton Kiwana, or the Kiwana Berry Project, however you want to call it, but that's the name of the project, which is different to the developer. The developer is always the True Blue Development Limited. And so the project started at stream as other projects, the Mount Hackman project and the project at Livera, they started. What we found is that after the True Blue Development, that's a company we know, the developer, they formed another company, the True Blue Services Limited, and they formed another company, Brainport, and this one was in the British Virgin Islands. But we were not aware of this. So we continue working with True Blue Development Limited until, so I gave you the background of how things happening. So all you are supposed to do is the CBI committee then will look at them, will tell them how many citizenship applications that they can get involved in to raise the monies. And they will go back to the committee and say, well, something happened, price has gone up, so show reason. So give us 100 more applicants and 100 more by 220. Remember, you were talking 22 million more. But they started the project at 52.5 million. That was approved. We didn't know about these companies, as I've said. Then they came back and they asked for True Blue Development Limited. Nothing about the new companies yet. They asked to go to 99 US million. Okay, well, you're going to do some big expansion and something like that. So we were looking at you. And then they came and said they want to go to 105 million. Then they came again. And they said, you know what, we're going to sort of scale back, whatever the reason, if too many questions were being asked. But eventually came back for 110 million. We got to know in the Ministry of Finance when, companies must put their returns, whether they're making profit or not. And the company True Blue Services Limited brought in monies into the, and they say, well, they brought in their accounts. And those accounts are, audited by Panelco Foster. One showed monies leaving the True Blue Development Limited. That was also audited by Panelco Foster. It shows money leaving True Blue Development Limited, going to True Blue Services Limited, etc. So we say, hold. What is what and what is what? And the questions started to be asked then. We indicated, well, listen, we would process applications because we want you to continue with the project. And when we are happy that things are okay, we will allow the applicants to deposit the money into your account. It is during this process that they went to the exit arbitration and saying that we have a dispute with the government of Grenada. So things went on. We decided we'll defend, and we never told them that we'd stop. We told them we cannot allow monies to go into your account until you show us we are satisfied, because these are investors' monies from abroad. If they hit and True Blue development gets into a problem, it's the whole of Grenada. All other CBI programs will be in trouble because Grenada, it was not looking after the monies invested into it by foreign nationals who eventually will become nationals of Grenada. And there we are. But I want you to note something that you look back in your chat and you'll see in the release. Remember that release written saying that we settled If you look at the third paragraph, you'll see there that they were looking for a new developer since before the dispute. That seems very strange. So is this dispute all part of this thing to go forward? And you have to invest 20% of the construction cost. The audited report shows that your investment in the Chukwu Bay development in the project, if done by K1 now, however, was 18 million EC. Because the rule says that you must invest 20%, you simply look at in your arrangement and look at the $110,000 that they claim that they were asking for, not on the ground here, and say, I will put 20% of that and give you that as a settlement when you did not put that in. And I will remove the quote, well, not remove it, you can't remove it, but I will go forward and say, let's settle. Don't go forward, because it was Chukwu Development Limited that brought the exit case forward. And there we are today. And as I've heard articulated on so many occasions, why did we go for acquisition? Under the Constitution, acquisition say you take and you pay. Now, when the developers enter into the arrangement and the investor, those applicants who ask for signature, put their money into the development's account, the developer signs an agreement with them. Different developers may sign different agreement. Obviously, the investor will want certain protection and thing in that agreement. But if you look at it, you will see that the developer could still be in trouble with the investors. How do I get rid of all of this? I demand that the state acquire. When the state acquires, everything rests on the back of the local people, tax-paying people of Trinidad Caribbean and the PT market. So it is not only the quantum of the paid to developer, it is also those applicants who are no citizens and who are no investors into the project. You have acquired the project, so you have acquired their property and you must compensate them. And don't look to compensate them only at the fact that they may have paid somewhere between $300,000 and $50,000, and when they got involved and made the approval for the $220,000, a mix between them. Don't say that, because the people invested and they expect returns on their investment. And so if you acquire my property, you also remove from me the ability to earn an income on it, and so you'll have to pay me for that. There are many ways, and I'm sure the auditors around the country and other mathematicians will tell you the many ways that you can calculate the value over, you might say, the life of the project. And when you say the life of the project, you might say, well, it's that will go on forever, 100 years, 200 years. But if n is the number of years, and you're raising something by a factor of n, after a time, that number gets so large, maybe after 20 years, 25 years, you'll see that the money, the income you'll get from it, will be sort of pretty small. So there's a range to tell you whether it's 20 or 30 years, and the mathematics will tell you. But in general, a man paying 220, he might have to pay upfront for his streams of income. You might have to pay him maybe 400,000. You might have to pay maybe 300,000. That is a difficult scenario. And when I listen to the fact that we acquired before we did any such calculation, before we had an inkling of where we put in the state, I say, Lord have mercy. We're managing a country. We're managing people who have come out of distress and the doldrum 2008 to 2013. And who, you might say, well, it's their fault that they got back there. But if you want to manage a country, you have to make proper decisions. any business. Otherwise, you kill the country. And this is not killing one business, which in itself is terrible. You're killing an entire nation. So when I heard $60 million going to Parliament to take care of the Children Development Limited, to take care of the hospital lands, and to take care of another issue, 3 items. And when the True Blue Development Limited in itself could move to 6 times that, at least, I wonder, how do you go? Well, you could always come back to Parliament, but please, and that is with intention. You might tell somebody a blatant lie. That is dangerous. That is bad. But if you lead them up, knowing that the intention is to end up at something, is to end up at a lie and say, I come with this, and the next year I come with that, and the next year we enter into agreement, and we say we're going to pay them over 10 years, but instead of 60 million, it is $360 million, but we pay them over 10 years, and you perpetuate this falsity throughout a period of 2-3 years. And that is damning. That is looking at the people as, quote unquote, you done said, you stupidities, I will do what I want with you. I will take the monies out of your pocket to achieve the scheme that I'm putting forward. So when you say, come forward and tell the people exactly what is happening, tell them what you'd like to know is exactly what is the risk. Now, if you could want to negotiate with the person, that is why we say if you negotiate and sign an agreement rather than enter into these things, you'll be wrong in any way, because you certainly would have won before exit. And even if, while exit is going on, even before the day of the judgment, you could negotiate, So you go ahead, you listen to the arguments, and then you say at the right time, well, let me catch you. You say you better come out now. And then at those periods, those points in times, lower to where something you come, you negotiate and say, okay, I'm going to give you 18, giving them back 18 that they pay for that. I don't know. That is more or less godlike. You pay that for this, so you get that. But you say nothing else. Okay, for you. And then the people, you will have to take care of the people, the investors. Don't put it on our part. We will not acquire. But you, with your arrangement, if you want me to get a new developer with you, perhaps we could walk along that line. That's when you should come to a negotiated agreement, not just move, pushed into the whims and fancies of the pipers, of those who pay the pipers, that you do something to leave us. So that is what we're facing now, Hilda. When you hear the political leader and the leader of His Majesty's opposition speaking, that is what we have to do, pen and paper, day and night. Technocrat people have to see the risk analysis and what will happen, and how do we come out of this, and how do we come out of that. And at the same time, we must mount such a program of information and bringing people up to date, so that we would prevent them from going down the terrible lines from which there will be no return. So sleepless nights for a lot of us. Sometimes it is worse than if you're in government. It's the book, it's the pen, it's the paper, it's the analyses, it's the everything. But how do we get from there to then? And if we allow them to go down that route, well, as my good friend Harry say, well, we don't dare. So how do we stop them from going down that particular route? I don't know if Grenadians understand what is happening. And then they will come and try to put things into your mind. We can't get this, we can't get the information for this and that. We cannot get this and that. The government, they paid, some policeman paid some money to them, and you can't bring anything to it. And you discontinue those things, but you shift it, because they're being advised, they're being paid for strategic and clandestine advice on how you go down a route. But at the end of the day, oh my God, those people who pay you, ask them to use the international institutions. Take a payment from them. If you would not want to hear from the team of the new National Party and the people who surround us, go to international institutions and ask them, if we do this, what will happen at the end of that? How do we come out of this? We'll be able to come out of this. Where do you segregate? No, you don't want to hear from us. You don't want people to say, oh, the NFP showed you and you make them do that. So quietly, go to some people who know, and not the typers, and not those who pay. Go to independent people. Because at the end of the day, a few will prosper, but the vast majority will perish.
Mr. Bowen, at this juncture, I'd like to ask, because the last figure that I saw for investors into that program, and I always like to make sure that people understand there's a difference between the developers and these investors, the individual investors who have gained their Grenadian citizenship, they are Grenadian citizens, and they have their money into this project. Now, who have been paid by the government of Grenada thus far is $22 million to the developers who spent $18 million roughly on this project, but they receive 18 million EC, but they've received 22 million US as payment. Meanwhile, Grenada, as you explained a bit earlier, is left holding the bag now with these investors. And due to how the government has acquired, now self, you get held with the bag with the investors. Whereas if you did not acquire, the developers would have had to deal with the investors. But now Grenada has taken on that. And we're speaking roughly 56 million US was the last amount that I could remember seeing in relation to these 214 investors. So Grenada is left holding that bag. We have to pay.
We have to pay. And as I pointed out, the 56 million US will be what you call the initial payment, the time zero payment. But these investments must raise an income stream, a little 5%, you may say, a little 6%. And in the courts looking at it, it will look to see how hotels in the region, what's the return. So if the return is 10%, then the investors obviously will ask for 10%. And so 10% over a period. Over a period.
So that 10% has to be applied again and again and again.
Yes, yes. And you put that, because you deprive them from their property. It's not that they sell it to you. And if they sell to you, they won't sell to you at the 220. They will say, boy, you're going to make some interest. They'll sell to you at 260. Yeah? So you cannot just say, well, I'm looking at how much they invested into the project. You must look at the income streams also.
The impression we keep being given by the government is that they have done this fabulous deal, and the Attorney General said as much, so did the Prime Minister, giving the impression to the Grenadian people that Warren and his group, that what they were looking for was 100 and how much US, and now they're only going to be paying 22 million US, and that's the end of it. That's the impression they're giving, that it's only 22 million. You don't have to pay anything after that. And they said they're going to make the first payment by the 15th, I believe, of October, and then they're going to pay some in January or February again to close it off. I'm hoping maybe they could consider paying you during that period of time as well.
Oh yes, they definitely should.
Maybe they can give consideration if they find the documents.
Yeah. Well, and tell them how they can find it.
Yes.
So we could, if no matter where they put it, we definitely will have other streams and platforms, to get it from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the issue of that we had to pay $110,000 is not so at all. Remember,
110 million. Yeah.
Million.
Yeah.
The committee commissioned an engineer to look at the construction work done on the ground, and they found 47 plus million US dollars. That's what they found in infrastructure. Now, You'll have management, you'll have all this, you'll have advertisement about it. That may bring it up to above that. We're not saying, no, but whom do you pay? It doesn't belong to the developer. You know? The developer is paid every month from the monies of these investors for their work, their management work, and they're doing this and they're doing that, and their advertisement. They're being paid by the developers. So $110 million would never be the developer's own. The maximum must come to the developers, and if it is realistic, and the investors know you separate the developer, which you have to do, and if you give him back, like I said, he put 18 million EC, and you give him back his 18 million EC, and you get a new developer who will now have to buy 20% of the construction costs. So while you give him back that, and if you own the system, some arrangement must be made for that new developer to put into that. So you will get back the 18 million you gave the fellow because he now owns that, and he'll pay more because as the project would have gone further, and the real value of the 20% may be bigger. So he puts that into the project, and you see he bought it from whom or he bought it from what, but there are ways to see how much you will get. But government will, the new developer will put back the $18 million into the government hands. Yes. So if you want, the arrangement should be you work with the government, get a new developer, and I say look at paragraph 3 and see, get an impression in your mind, in what year did True Blue Development started contemplating looking for a new developer. In other words, things could have been going smoothly and so on, and you are looking for a new developer. So somehow you must get out of it. That truly I don't want to make the judgment, but get from that third part. But obviously that release was written not by the government. It was written by them, and you will see exactly what we're talking about. So in another time and another period, you could say, yes, I believe that she was 2 years before they made the move, yes, to go into arbitration.
Now, do you believe that they've already found an investor and they're just saying, well, we're looking for an investor? The impression I get is that somebody or some organization is already lined up. I can't see that. Well, let me don't say that I can't see. I expect anything from this administration. But to be expending that sort of money in relation to the project, yes, which you did not need to expound, and then whichever investor comes in now, you will also end up in a situation where you have to also give them the permission again to sell additional passports. So now you have 214 people have gotten their citizenship. You're going to give them back their money and the interest, and you also now have to find investors for the same project again. So you're going to have to get some more people into the CBI program interested into that particular project again.
Right. Obviously, they're talking to a developer. And obviously, if they pay off these people, then the developer will now take his own applicants. From the pressure we put in it, and remember, our objective is to do good for Grenada and to stop them from doing things that will sink Grenada. From our releases, it is obvious now that they must ask the new developer, well, you see where we found ourselves. We have to pay those people. Would you pay them for us? The developer, new developer will say no. Then they will go to say, I remember Kami always say, don't teach them. But 56 million, $100 million, what we want to do is to stop them from doing certain things that will cripple our country. Then they will have to go to each developer and say, would you stay? Would you stay in the project? And the developer, now, knowing his right, could say, no, you acquire my system, pay me. And you cannot touch my passport. Yes, pay me. So that is the risk they're facing. But we are pushing them toward that line. If the 214 people say, all right, I will stay into the project, then at least they will enter into the arrangement. The government will give them back. Remember, it is now vested in the state. The state will now give them back and beg them to say, well, take them back and enter into some arrangement to me, or I'll sell them back to you, exchange your checks, so it now returns to you, and you will go with a new developer. But they have to now engage the new developer in that context, of which I am certain that they are doing. And no new developer will say, I want to keep the persons. That's your responsibility. So you, government, must go and do that. So the team, they may put a committee together to meet with developers. They put a committee together to go on with the oil and gas. Put a committee together to look at the investors and to discuss with them their remaining and removing the risk. So if you hear them come out and boast, oh, Sheldon and them are only talking this, that, and that. In fact, I hear them admitting that they have to pay back the people their money. Yes, so they have admitted that already. So if they don't have to pay, that will take out some burdens of Grenada. So now you have to enter into negotiation with the 214 that thereabout investors and get them to accept that I will remain in it. I want all this horrible up and down on them. I don't know how many of them will want to remain. If it is at the stage now where you can get your money, get your passport, I don't know, it'll be a difficult task. Again, they always know when and how to come for help. Nobody's stopping.
No, Minister Bowen, and I still say Minister Bowen, the habit sticks. Now, this is a situation. How would the new National Party, had it gone through the process of what the NDC is doing? I know definitely we'd have gone to arbitration because you had a strong case, Grenada had an extremely strong case. In fact, it behoves common sense why these individuals would even attempt to go to court anyway, considering all the facts that surround this case. What would the new National Party have done differently in a situation like this, especially when it comes to the individual investors and what is being done by the present administration that's going to cost significant amounts of money?
In the arbitration, we certainly would have defended before the arbitration. We have defended our actions. And coming out of the arbitration would be whether or not this project that was approved at $52.5 million US is indeed today needing $110 million US to get it completed. That is what the arbitration, would have found it, or would have determined whether or not. If the arbitration determined that it's needed, and looking at all the points and looking at all the costs, then we will see that all the monies that went into, right? If $110 million had to go into the project, that all of it went into construction and development, etc., and that none of it was moved from one company to the next. So you defend that, you defend Grenada. The arbitration may find that, okay, not 110, not 99, but maybe 80 million with all the increase in costs and all the this and that and all this is made sure. And so the CBI committee would have had to increase the number of applications that Chubri Development Limited can enter into, right? Can sell and receive monies for, to raise the 80 million. And then you continue with your project. But Grenada, no, would never have faced a situation where you have to pay out investors. If he then says, well, after this arbitration, bad blood, I don't want to stay together, nobody will fight that. Then you'll give him time to look for a new investor, work with him, and work with the new investor. You come on board and you move ahead. That is how we would have tackled it. Go through with the arbitration. Let the arbitration find the correct amount of monies. Let the arbitration ensure that the procedures are in place, that no monies given to Chubri Development Limited is moved to another company, but that all of it is spent for the True Blue development. And that's how the other projects are run. And then you do not put government in this risk, in this burden risk situation.
And by putting government, you're actually putting the people of Grenada, because they are basically holding the purse strings of the people of Grenada. And just to let the listeners know, it's now 9:27, and I have on with me Mr. Gregory Bowen. If he feels getting away before 10 o'clock, he has something else coming, so he's not getting away before. What I may try to do, Mr. Bowen, I know I didn't speak to you on this before, but I may take one or two calls while you're on, because some people have been saying they want to speak to you. But I want to raise an issue. We hadn't spoken about this one before, but I want to raise an issue with you as I have you on. And being one of the persons who I know has been directly involved in this area. Now, I've been seeing a document that has been sent out today, and it is by the Housing Authority of Grenada. They're having a press briefing tomorrow where they are going to be speaking about the distribution of phase 2 of the low-income houses, the as they call it, affordable housing units. And I've just put it up on the screen so that the viewers can see what I'm speaking about. So they are having a press briefing tomorrow. And they've not only done what I always say they do, they put press conferences and these important things on a Friday, but they've done it on an end-of-month Friday on an evening time when the vast majority of Grenadians are occupied, even if they're not party goers. They're shopping, they're organizing their business, and so they're sorting out the bills, they're doing what they have to do on the weekend. So they've put this press conference, not today, where people could speak about it tomorrow and so on. They've put the press conference tomorrow. I've also been informed that people are receiving calls. Several people in St. David's, in Carriacou, etc., have been receiving calls in relation to these units. And they are being told that they have to collect their stuff next week, collect their letters either Monday or Tuesday, collect their letters in relation to it, but also that they have to pay, in some instances, as much as $60-something, $70-something thousand for the units. They're being told that they have to pay. So they have to pay for these. I didn't understand. And I'm talking about pay the housing authority up front. So it's no longer a situation where you're paying a little $200 and so because it's low income. They're being told, visit your financial institution, get a loan, and pay for the unit. You have to pay up front. What say you in relation to this? Because was that the way that the New National Party was going to approach this particular issue? I'll just let folks glance once more at the thing there for tomorrow. And you see the time, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., a month and Friday. These people and them think they're smart too much. But Brother Bowen, what say you in relation to this particular issue?
That was definitely not the proposal. That was definitely not the intention. When we approached various donors for the housing scheme, it'd be a grant to the people. Initially, if government has to raise monies to purchase the land, then we expect the people to pay for the land and for the utilities, necessary infrastructure and so forth. But that over a period of time and based on your income. It was never a situation where the person should go and raise a mortgage and come to pay for. As a matter of fact, we said if you can raise a mortgage, you will obviously want to purchase a building or design a building, go to the bank that will meet your preferences and so forth, rather than a standard design. And so it is really, really disturbing to hear this, that the people must now go to raise a mortgage. And are we saying that it's $79,000 or so is the value of the property as well? When I say property, land, as well as the building given by the donors, irrespective whether or not. The idea is not to put the burden on our people, because we know they cannot raise the mortgages, but they must pay a sum over a period of time for gaining ownership of these houses.
I'm very, very, very concerned on this particular one, because it's not what people were expecting. The people who would usually qualify for these homes are not the type of people could walk into a financial institution and get $75,000, $85,000, or $100,000. If they could, they would already have a house.
Exactly.
They can't get it. And considering the situation with some of the financial institutions, would they be willing to risk lending that sort of money to some of these individuals? As part of you're buying an apartment in a complex, would they be willing to risk it? It's a funny one, not funny as in ha, but funny as in very strange. And the government hasn't even said, well, okay, in the same way that ministers of government have been able to secure multi-million dollars loans out of the GDP, that we are going to place a 15 million or 20 million in GDP, and people would go there and be able to get it at a low interest. They're not even saying that. They're saying, no, go to these lending institutions, face the interest rates at these institutions and so on, where we could have given you a lower interest rate through the GDP if you want to do that. And but it's just it's confusing. But this is what I have been hearing from a number of people who have received calls. They're being told they have secured the home, they need to go to collect a letter during next week, but they also have to secure a loan from their financial institution. And I'm speaking here 60-something, 70-something, 80-something $1,000 range to purchase these apartments.
Is this a ploy? The people who are being called, we say let us put them through this process so that they will not qualify. And then we'll give it to persons who qualify to go to the bank, to raise a mortgage, to buy an apartment. It is very disturbing. And again, and they don't like to say it. They don't like to hear it being said. It's a blatant and gross attack on the vulnerable. That you're trying to give a home, a modest home. We have house repairs. You move up to that. That's immediacy. Then you move up to that you call the housing scheme may give you a loan, $30,000 to do something. And now, with the assistance of foreign donors, you can now get something that will last you for many, many years, an apartment. And are we saying that this ploy is to say, well, your name called, I can't cancel it, so I'll allow you to cancel it by putting you through this obstacle that I know that you cannot overcome. Sheldon, this is terrible. Very, very terrible. Are we saying that the people that they're doing that to, they have the wherewithal? Or if they have the wherewithal, first tell them, well, go to a bank and build a little thing for yourself, etc. And we have a mortgage scheme out there, perhaps to help people in general, as banks will lower the interest rates, etc., etc. But that's extremely disturbing and terrible on the people of Grenada, Carriacou, Petite Martinique.
Mr. Boyne, this one is hurtful. I've heard for the past 2 months, I have been picking up from various sources that this was the direction that the government intended to go. That it would not be a case where the individuals would be given the houses and then you pay like your rent to own, basically, that you pay over a period of time, a fixed amount, be it $200, be $300 a month to own. Now they're being placed in a situation where they're going to have to pay not $200 or $300, but they're going to have to find $500, $600, $700, $800 to pay these financial institutions, plus the interest rates that they're going to have to be paying at these financial institutions in order to secure the home. These are no longer low-income homes. These are upper middle-income homes. These are now middle-income homes. They are no longer low-income homes.
What you're inviting is you're inviting certain go-betweens, third-party people who will go to the banks and who will purchase 3 or 4 units and then lease them out to persons, if that is the way that they are going. Because remember, in the vetting process, we looked carefully at people who already had homes and some whose intention it was to get a home and to lease it, and we know they would not live there, they do not need it, etc. I think that this is coming back at us in a roundabout way. But all in all, it is heartless, it is extremely disturbing, and for some persons who believe that before their life come to an end on earth, they would get some place that they would enjoy to live in, that has now seen to be a thing of the past. And children, this is really, really disturbing. And I do not know how an NDC supporter could sit and support this. Even if it is, targeted against an NNP, and you may be on, to put it, different political side, but you cannot be a Grenadian, you cannot be a Christian, you cannot be a person to see this happen, and somebody loses the opportunity just because you've changed the conditions. And I believe that change is willfully done and it targeted certain people. Again, I don't know. I think we'll have to ask the Lord to step in here and reverse.
I can tell you that I can tell you that your assessment, as usual in all matters, is exceptionally spot on. In that there already are a few of the individuals that have informed we are no longer interested because of what they now have to face. They're saying we're no longer interested. If I could have gone to the credit union and gotten that kind of loan, I would need to be sitting here waiting all the time for these houses. I would have already had my place a long time ago. So they are already saying that they're no longer interested in these houses. And apart from that, Brother Boyne, this was phase 2 of the Chinese-built houses. Were there plans, let me be correct here, were there plans for a phase 3? I seem to remember it being 2,000 houses. We have not gotten to 2,000 houses. Were there plans for a phase 3 of this project?
Yes, certainly. If you call phase 3 the remainder to make 2,000, certainly we made it abundantly clear publicly. We've spoken to the Chinese authority publicly. They indicated that the NDC administration gave up some of the houses, and we made it abundantly clear to them that there must be a phase 3 to make it 2,000. I assume that is what the phase 3 is. You'll explain to me later. Yes, there's definitely plans, and the talks afoot. When you talk with them on many different projects, like, for example, the airport and other things like that, these things definitely were in the mix. And if you as a government removed it and we are going back on it, we have to be pressing. And I think we were making grave inroads, and in another agreement that should certainly and that would certainly have come up. Definitely, our plans to ensure that we get the 2,000 houses. The 613 plus, 3 something, I think it's another 600 thereabout, if the calculations go right to make it to 2,000.
I think that was about it. I think it was about another 600 or so.
Yes.
To complete the 2,000.
Yes.
We have not heard this government made a single statement, either before the election, during the election, or after the election, and for the period of time they've been in office, in relation to moving forward. I like to use their words back at them. Moving forward to complete that 2,000 houses. I haven't heard them. They've been speaking now about 500 houses a year and public-private partnerships, so getting companies. Again, this prices out immediately a large cross-section of our population. If people could have afforded, they would have done that already. So 500 houses, but in public-private partnership. So you're getting private companies. They're definitely going to want to make sure they get the slice of ham and the bread too before they move on. So it prices out the lower income people once again, who should have been getting the houses. They're now telling them go and get the $70,000 and $80,000 to purchase.
Exactly. And what you note about these persons with the remainder of the 2,000 houses, we made it abundantly clear. We started the engagement that we will be working on that. Now, their ego is so big that they will not continue to work on it. And even if the donors say, well, we want to continue to do that, it would appear to the public, that's how they look at it, that the NNP spoke, right? And the NNP did some work. And look, they had to do what the NNP say. It will be very interesting to hear a recording of the internal meetings. And I'm sure in those internal meetings, you will hear things as, well, it is a good thing to do, Oh, we can't do that. You want them to say that the NNP make us do that? And we want to do that? It'd be very interesting. And some of those persons who used to be in those meetings, I think we could quietly ask them for an inkling of what goes on. So I don't think they'll make any noise to follow it through, even if it is on the table ready for them to go forward with. And anything that NNP says, they will try to avoid, except those things. I think you have pause over them, because after listening to you, and they come out and they rush and they do certain things. So maybe we should have all our things through you. Yeah? But then let it be said that it is Sheldon.
Through us.
Well, you see, if you say through us and they have that, that's an NNP philosophy, they wouldn't want to do it. So let us say that is a Sheldon and Talking Point philosophy. And perhaps they may take it over. You have to study the psychology of people, because people could do tremendous damage because of the psychological outlook. Mm-hmm. And there we are today. I'm saying that the work of the NNP team is hard. It's not an 8 to 4 thing anymore. It's around the clock as we discuss and say, how do we come out of this? Remember 2008 to 2013 and coming to the latter part of that period when we saw the dismal things that were going on. And we had to meet and we had to strategize. And people were sticking. In those days, winning the election, yes, but bringing Grenada out of the dollar drop. And what we're seeing facing us now is worse. So we have to be working since now. And it didn't take like nearly 2 years to destroy, even though everything is destructive. So if they would listen, and that's what we're trying to bring to Grenadians, listen to our path. It's not so much condemning NDC. That is why when they invited me into that meeting, I did not make it public for, they were listening. I wonder if you go and say you call him. I wonder if you go there. That did not take place. So they have no excuse to say, I can't find something and I would not go back to this man. He behaved properly. He did not expose this or that. So if we want to develop our country, don't even tell him it came from us. Just tell him that the authority is away and that you permanent secretary here and this, we're inviting you to help us put a brief together. Just do that. But there we are. I'm saying we looking down a dangerous period. And we have to fight hard so that we can divert them from the track and have the necessary preparation on what needs to be done for recovery in place.
Yes, indeed, folks. And it's now 9:46, so we have a few minutes remaining with Brother Bowen. And folks, it's always an exciting one. In fact, make sure that you all share, you like and share tonight's program. Every single listener who is on YouTube and Facebook tonight should ensure that they like and share this program, because there's quite a lot of information that has been shared. You see what I like to have, Minister Bowen? I like to have all the former ministers on, but I like to have Minister Bowen on with me, especially when I'm discussing these sort of issues, because he lends a lot of clarity to the issues, right? So, Minister Bowen, the housing thing still it's still hurting my heart. It's really hurting my heart.
It must hurt all our hearts. It's terrible.
And I'm seeing the comments coming through right now on Facebook and YouTube, and people are very upset with what is taking place in relation to this particular issue. Some are asking what can be done and so on in relation to it. I'm going to open the phone lines. If anybody wants to call. You have to make your within 1 minute, please. We can't take preamble and then you're going deep into it, because we only have a few minutes. It's the first time I'm going to try taking a call while we have a Zoom in process. So hopefully it would work. I'm hoping that it will work. So the phone numbers 440-7377 and 347-329-3101. While we await the calls, Mr. Bowen, the constituency of St. George Southeast, what have you seen taking place and so on? I could tell you I passed certain parts and bush from that side, touching the bush on the next side, they tying across. You know, like school children used to tie grass to trip people around the playing field. And so it's happening now with vehicles with bamboo on that side, touching the other side and so on in the areas that I've been through. What have you been hearing with the Southeast St. George constituency?
It's the same report I might say island-wide, but it's terrible in the sense that there's grave disappointment, and those people are biting themselves. Those who did not vote, those who thought they was scammed into voting this way, but it's their decision. But nothing additional is going on. The completion and some of the projects that we had there. We know we were looking at the lighting of the library playing field. That was discussed, and I spoke to the contractor and told him that he needs careful guidance from the Ministry of Infrastructure or from his own engineers, because part of that field was reclaimed as we extended it. So you must be very careful in how you put in the lights to the edge that were the edges that were reclaimed. So there is nothing has been done, but I don't know in the public view, but I don't know if the analyses have been done by the engineering department. All along the other areas is the same thing as you see. Nothing happening. The people are feeling the pinch. Some of them, most of them, are not owning an income, and they used to help themselves, but the economy is not there for them to help themselves, more. And we are still, trying to plan to see how we can help. In fact, we are helping one or two persons, not in the broad public, but there are some persons, who can't eat. You still help them. There are some persons who need the medical system. You still help them, not as before. And many of them would not come to you. Now they know this situation that we are in, and they know definitely that I used to, I still do, my own resources to help a lot of people. And the people that you help there, right now it's just that they're in total and urgent need. But as in all, most other constituencies, I'll say, constituency needs a lot of attention. Yes, and there are certain remarks being made about certain villages and so forth that they tell me about that, it's really despicable. And I believe that, something must be done, not only in Southeast, but must be done urgently to change the trend and to change the economy and to change people's lives.
Minister Boy, now, I just recognize something, in relation to the issue we were speaking about just before with the housing and so on. You may know or may not know that the manager of the Housing Authority resigned about roughly a week ago or so. That the manager of the Housing Authority resigned. I'm just beginning to realize why. Knowing the individual, I don't think that he had the wherewithal to stay there and do that to the people that have been waiting for an extensive period of time for these houses. I don't think that he had it in his conscience. He could not do that to them. And as such, he decided to take his departure. I see that they're advertising for a manager right now, but they have never announced that the manager gone. We all know that he's resigned. He's gone. That's for sure. Maybe they're ashamed that we announced it first, as we usually do. But they haven't announced it, and probably that's why.
No, you are very correct in your analysis, in the sense that not only, you sat with a board, you look at policy, and you look at the correct thing to do as you help people. And you did not help only one group of persons politically. You helped everybody who met the criteria. You communicated to them. And now you have to change this thing so that they can go to the bank or to a financial institution and to raise funds for something that you would have communicated to them. I believe most of these people got communication about that. Yes, you have made this and you have made that, and now to go back to tell them that no, you're not. You have to go to a financial institute. It is terrible.
I don't think he could do it.
The conscience would not allow us to do that.
Yeah.
Do what is right, as I continue to say. That's what I keep telling the IMF and the World Bank when they come. And I say, and they ask, well, this thing, it is difficult for the persons. Why are you supporting it? I say, it is right. At the end of the day, the people will benefit. And if they come to ask me to do certain things, and I say no. But these things look so simple, as they say, these things look simple, but it is not right. It will hurt our people. And if you sit in a position like he was, and you see that you're doing something that will hurt his people, then
you would.
He took. Yes.
Brother Bowen, I think we have a caller online. Let me see if the system works and you're hearing the caller. Go right ahead, caller.
Rastafari.
Selassie, thank you for your patience.
Don't worry them. What the government is doing, they don't like poor people. You know that. So that what they're trying to do now is to discourage the poor people who don't have the money to pay, so they can give their co-hosts the houses. That's what they're doing. I could say more about other things, but I wouldn't just take long. I want to make a point on that one. They're doing it on purpose. Have a good night.
All right, my brother. Brother Bowen, I don't know if you heard the caller there. I realized you had to move forward a bit to hear. But did you get the gist of what the caller was saying?
I think he said what they're doing in the housing. No, they're doing it on purpose to victimize and to get at certain persons. That is what I picked up. I don't know if I'm correct.
Yes, you're correct.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
He's saying basically he wouldn't expound on it tonight, but he believes that what is being done is to get rid of a certain group of people from wanting the houses. And I remember when these houses were being constructed, and we had the listings were coming in of people applying for the houses, and you had X amount of houses, but you had nearly 4 times, 5 times the amount of people applying for the amount of houses that you had. And this government reopened the process again after they came in to add more people to that pool.
Oh boy.
It would be interesting. No. It would be interesting to find out, though, how many of the people, new persons, affiliated and associated with the National Democratic Congress, that were able to get homes in this new dispensation. In other words, they were not in the pool of people that you're selecting from before. After the election, the process was reopened and they suddenly appeared in the pool. They got into the pool. And now, ahead of people that have been there waiting for years, not months, not weeks, but years, how many of these people have jumped to the front of the line and been able to secure these homes? It would be interesting to find out.
It will be very interesting to find out. And that's where the talking plans must 1, 2, 3, even though each one picks up 1, 2, or 3, it will add up and we'll see. And it will confirm the intention of asking people now to go to financial institutions. We want to uproot you. You get out of it. As already started. No, I can't move that way. But the others, they will go in. And later on, let's look at it. If you have some of them who perhaps they wanted to get in and who the bank did not approve, we'll want to see how they treat with these people.
That would be a very interesting one to see, Brother Bowen. We're into our final few minutes. Any closing words to the Grenadian people, the diaspora? While you are out in the diaspora yourself at this point in time, I'll let you know there are literally thousands of people that are listening right around you. You might be surprised in the building next door, downstairs, upstairs, wherever you are, that there are people listening to the program tonight. I know that because we've got some T-shirts up there, and I'm pretty sure Nurse Maguire is nearly out of T-shirts already. So any final words for tonight to the listeners and the viewers of tonight's program?
Yes. First of all, it has been a pleasure being in the program, once again. Be very, very careful with respect to the plot to sidestep the issues. As Sheldon, you have put it, this can't find document. It's a plan to sidestep the issues, the burning issue. And I encourage everybody to realize what is happening. You in the diaspora, I know that most of you have your mind and heart at home. Continue to encourage our people to stand up now. And to stand up is to prevent certain things from going forward. Because if many of those things go forward, it will make it extremely difficult for the country to recover. That is why we are pointing it out. And this program is helping in them moving away from a lot of them. So we'll just hear suddenly some things go cold. We have done our work. Because if some of those things had gone through, then you make the nights more sleepless and the recovery more difficult. So we have to continue along the trend. Everything that you pick up, expose it. Bring it forward. A lot of people are listening. You may not comment or ask questions on the program, but you have the fundamental responsibility to talk to your neighbors, to educate your children. During the last campaign, we were telling parents that educate your children. Some of them just turned 18 and they did not see a certain period. And many of those, particularly in a constituency, I'll say George Southeast, and throughout Grenada, they're saying, well, I never thought so. I never knew it was so. But we told you, but I didn't know. So parents, you may support the NDC, but you do not support them if you do not confront them as a member of the party to tell them, while we dislike NNP, we should not try to crucify and kill them to kill the country. We recognize during the last term when we were raising funds to help people on top of what the government gave. Yes, and on top of the programs that we had SEED and others, we raised funds and we did not look only towards the needy NNP. We looked towards the needy NDC as well. And if you will sit now to see your countryman or woman being destroyed, recognizing that is not the philosophy of the new National Party, and not confronting your people, then you're going to face it. And when someone will face it, you're making all of us face it. And when we sync with all the work that we're doing and continue to do as a new National Party and members of the opposition, you would not see Grenada come forward. We have a dismal time before us. I think let us come up, build our faith, build our hope, and do what we have to do with each other. You will find the leadership through programs like these. You will find the knowledge, and let your voices be heard. So I want to thank you one and all again for listening to me. And it's a pleasure to be on the program again. And I thank Sheldon for the great work that he has been doing. He started it quite a while back, and he has a tremendous experience, in this area. I could remember way back the 2008, 2013 period. Before that, after that, and then now we're there. I think we shall succeed in what we're doing, because we're not doing it for the benefit of Gregory Bowen, or Keith Mitchell, or Clarence Modest, or Sheldon, or the members of the party. We're doing this for the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. And as we look down the line, we see the dangers, we see the risk, and we're bringing it out to you. And we need everybody to be on board to curb where we are going, to curb the problems that will materialize if we continue along that path. So, Sheldon, have a good night. Thank you, and thank the family, the Talking Points family, for the opportunity given to speak to all of you through your medium, through your forum.
And we'd like to thank you so very much for taking the time to be here with us tonight. And as usual, we're so grateful you have given us a wealth of information tonight. And we know that they're listening, they're listening. They sign in, some of the ministers sign in under different names, but they're there and they're listening. So we hope that they understand that the information that they seek is before them. All they have to do is open their eyes and they shall see. Open their ears and they shall hear. So it is before them. Minister, thank you so very much. Do enjoy the rest of your night tonight. Yes, indeed.
Thank you very much.
Yes, indeed. Folks, we have been speaking there with Mr. Gregory Bowen. And, of course, he is the former Minister of Minister of Energy, former Minister of Finance, and so on. And give us quite a wealth of information there tonight. I am sorry I can't stay a few more minutes, because I really, really wanted to deal with that housing issue, but one must then go past them. Let me hear what they have to say tomorrow, and we're going to definitely be dealing with that on Monday. Also, folks, remember on Tuesday, Leader of His Majesty's Opposition, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, he will be having a press conference. So that'll be taking place this Tuesday, all right, from 10 a.m. You will be able to view it, I assure you, on YouTube and on Facebook, social media, various radio stations, television stations will be broadcasting this Tuesday from 10 a.m. Press conference by former Prime Minister, Leader of His Majesty's Opposition, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell. All right, so we look forward to that one. For those of you up there in Carriacou, Carriacou people, how you all doing? Right? I know this weekend you all are thing up there. I think you all are bingo. Yes, bingo. Right, so they have a bingo taking place this weekend. Let me see. I have to get the exact place, I want to make sure I get the exact place with the bingo. Right? So there is a bingo that will be taking place. They have a $500 jackpot and many other prizes. Sunrise Disco down in Wynwood. So they have music by top DJs, eats and drinks on sale. So that's the Carriacou and Petit Martinique New National Party branch. They are having that bingo night, and that is taking place the 30th. Right, so that's this Sunday. This Sunday. That's taking place there down at Sunrise Disco in Wynwood. All right, tickets only $20. Folks, that's all the time we have for Talking Points tonight. It's been wonderful being with you. Yeah, and it's always wonderful. You see, I only get 5 minutes back. It's always wonderful being here with you and interacting with you. And in everything you say and do it safe and secure. We want to be speaking to and with you, and definitely not about you. Love each and every one of you, and we're going to go out with this one, Yeah, I have a song I'm going out with tonight.
Give us the same man, give us the grey head man, I say. Give us the same man, the man with the plan and the vision. Give us the same man, give us the grey head man, I say. Give us the same man, the true Saudi champion. Tell them we ain't joking, live we get green bowing, eh. They must be making joke, this bun I didn't think can work. Nazim don't take it hard, cause you know the old boy will be cheap bad. Give us the same man, give us the grey head man, I say. Give us the same man, the man with the plan and the vision. Give us the same man, give us the grey head man, I say. Give us the same man, the true Saudi champion. A true son of the soil, no question that a man that had this country at heart, and that's a natural fact. They say the price of progress is high, and the bill must pay. But if all talk is the price, tell your gag we don't pay. Let her talk, I say, let her grumble. We ain't going nowhere. Let her say, who care what I say? With gag we go stay. Give us the same man, give us the grey head man, I say. Give us the same man, the man with the plan and the vision. Give us the same man, give us the grey head man, I say. Give us the same man, the true Saudi champion. Let her talk, I say, let her grumble. We ain't going nowhere. Let her say, who care what I say? With Gagri we go stay. Give us the same man, give us the grey head man, I say. Give us the same man, the man with the plan and the vision. Give us the same man, give us the grey head man, I say. Give us the same man, the true Saudi champion. Tell them we ain't joking, live we get green-bowing, eh. They must be making joke, this bun I didn't think can work. Nazim don't take it hard, cause you know the old boy will be cheap bad. Give us the same man, give us the grey head man, I say. Give us the same man.